UFC Fight Night, Amanda Ribas versus Rose Namajunas. So, this card is boring. Absolutely boring. It's a terrible card. But sometimes, when there's a terrible card and everyone thinks it's going to be awful and it's going to be terrible, sometimes it shines through as that was an alright card, that. So, I've taken that into consideration and I've gone and had a little bit of fun with my picks. I'm sure you'll be able to tell. But before all that, could you please take the time to go and like the video, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and if you want to comment, I'm much more likely to respond. If you want to have a discussion, I'm not like these big guys. I'm only a small YouTuber, so you'll get some interaction from this guy. So first up, we have Muhammad Usman versus Mick Parkin. Fairly matched in the height and reach. I think Usman is slightly taller. No, slightly shorter. Parkin's slightly taller. Not much to write home about though in that regard. Usman is 3-0 inside of the UFC with 2 wins on Tough. Parkin is 2-0 with 1 win on the Contender Series. This card seems to be a lot of Tough versus contenders, so that'll be a little bit interesting, I suppose. Usman is a little bit shorter than Parkin, and obviously Usman's brother is Kamaru, so we could say that maybe Usman gets some wrestling advice on how to wrestle fuck from Kamaru, but we don't really see that, and we don't really see a lot of technicality in his stand-up either. He got finished by fucking Brian Sales in PFL, and Brian Sales lost his next fight and then hasn't been seen again. Parkin can wrestle fuck too. Like, Parkin can do a bit of that wrestle fucking too. Parkin is also probably a bit slower, but he's probably more technical. He's a slow guy. He's a slow starter as well. I'm going to go Parkin by sub. I think his ground game's just better. Not that there's a lot to compete with, but I think that as a fallback, if he's got that to fall back on, then he can stay safe within the fight and he can do what he wants to do. And I'm going to say he's going to get a sub. I think he's going to tire out Mo, and I think he's going to get the sub. Severino versus Lima. I'm picking Severino. I think Lima's better in the stand-up. Lima's a really good kickboxer. But I think Severino doesn't beat him in the stand-up, but can survive long enough to get the fight where it's more of an advantage to him, which is on the ground. And I think once he gets it there, it's probably going to be a long night for Lima. I don't think Lima will be able to continue getting up if he gets up at all. I'm going to go with sub to Severino. He's the underdog as well, so yeah, it's getting wild. I can't remember if Usman was the favourite. I don't know. But yeah, so maybe first underdog of the night. I can't remember. But yeah, so I'm going with Severino. Lima is a better kickboxer. I think he wins in the stand-up, but I think Severino can survive long enough to get the fight to the ground and get the submission. Rendon versus Zelenjikov. I think Rendon isn't really UFC level. I don't think Rendon is UFC level. She's a little bit too old for my liking. She's had tough fights, but not with notable opponents. Zinyakova has lost more recently, but I don't think that Rendon has the ground game to have that scenario play out the same way again in her favour. I don't think Rendon really has a shot. It feels like a bit of a mismatch. I'm going with Zelenjikova. I think it's going to be a decision. It's going to be a boring decision. But I'm picking TKO so I can get angry about it. Nguyen versus Aarons. Nguyen versus Aarons. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. Aarons is the only fighter from the Netherlands. I'm picking Aarons. Aarons is the only fighter from the Netherlands in the UFC. I think, yeah, he's suffered a few losses, but I think they're on short notice. I know at least one of them is on short notice. I don't think he's proven himself yet, but I think there's potential there. And he's at the big time. I think, and he's taken risks as well. So I think sometimes in his previous fights, he kind of doesn't know when to chase the finish. He's a bit anxious about chasing the finish, and I think that's something that he can overcome. Hopefully in this fight. Yeah, I think Aarons is a risky pick. I just think he's going to pull it out of the bag. I think we're going to see some improvement. I think he's going to come into this fight ready, and I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win. I'm going with Aarons, my man from the Netherlands. I'm just got a feeling. I think he's got more to show, and I think he hasn't had that chance. So I'm going out on a limb, and I'm gonna say he gets it. I'm gonna say Aarons wins it. I think maybe a decision. I think probably a decision. Maybe a TKO. Johns versus Gibson. I want to say Johns by TKO, but I'm going with another underdog. I'm picking Gibson. I think he's a little bit more accurate. He's a little bit more technical. I think he's going to be able to keep the fight where he wants it and ultimately play to his height and reach advantage. I think it's going to be a slow decision. But Johns is dangerous and he could land that KO, but I'm picking Gibson by decision. A boring decision. Ramos versus Arosa. Now, I'm going with Ramos over Juicy. Arosa's fucking 34. He's coming off 2 back-to-back losses, KO losses, mind you. Arosa has the height and reach advantage, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think Ramos is probably going to get the submission. He's probably going to get a sub. Ogden versus Holloway. I'm picking Holloway over Ogden. I just think Kurt has too much for Ogden. I don't rate Ogden very highly. I think it's going to be an early finish. I'm thinking hits him on the feet, follows him to the ground, lands a few shots, and I think he snatches up another submission. I think we're going to see another submission. I think it's going to be early though. I think it's going to be a round 1 submission, so you've got a round and a method there. Pajuelo versus Padilla. I'm going with Pajuelo. I think the hands are just going to be too much for Padilla. I think Pajuelo's just going to fucking put it on him. I think he's going to pour on the shots. They're going to be accurate. There's going to be a speed difference. I don't think Padilla's got much to counter that. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a quick one. I think it's going to be a quick finish for Pajuelo. So we'll see. Unlucky Padilla. More difficult names. Quarantillo versus Zalal. I initially liked Quarantillo for this, but Zalal's young, he's hungry, he's riding momentum, he's got hands. I think his stand-up's probably a little bit cleaner than Padillo's. I just think there's going to be a big speed and power difference again. I'm going to go Yusuf Zalal by KO, and I'm thinking probably round 2. Talbot versus Simon. An interesting one. They're quite well matched. Maybe Talbot takes it, to be fair. I like Talbot. I think he's going to put it on Simon. I think Simon's probably more technical in the stand-up. I think he takes round 1. I think Talbot's a slow start. But I think once Talbot gets the ball rolling, like he comes out and he puts it on, he's read them patterns and stuff. I think he puts it on him in round 2. It snowballs. I think once Talbot gets that momentum, there's no stopping him. I think Talbot might even finish him. I want to say round 3, TKO to Talbot over Cameron Simon. Edmund Shabazian versus AJ Dobson. I'm picking Shabazian. I don't think Dobson has anything to offer that really gives Shabazian any problems. I'm picking Shabazian. I don't think it'll be surprising to see him fucking knock him out cold. Honestly, I don't. Shabazian by KO. Williams versus Taffa. Now, before I started making these videos, I was really hyped on Junior Taffa stepping in on short notice. In hindsight, that was a bit stupid of me, but it's happened before, so why not? And I'm going to be hoping for a KO, because if a lot of these picks are wrong, right, then it's going to be a long night of boring decisions, you know? I'm hoping for a KO. I'm picking Tafa by KO. I think my bed's going to be calling me. I'm going to be wanting to go to sleep. So yeah, I'm going to go Tafa by KO. I think he's just going to go for it. I think he's just going to put hands on Williams. And I think Williams is going to be surprised by that. I think it's just going to be a blitz, if you will. Williams is taller and longer. I just don't think the fight will go long enough. I just don't. I hope the fight doesn't go long enough to make it into a fucking boring tip for tagging match, you know? I think Justin Tafa puts it on Williams. I think he ends it early. I'm thinking around 1 KO. Amanda Ribas versus Namajunas. Now, it's a tough one. Here's the thing. Rose is on a 2-fight losing streak right now, and she lost a grappling match in between those, I'm fairly sure. Recently, it's felt like Rose's camp hasn't really known what to do with her, training-wise and game plan-wise. The game plans have always felt have recently felt very play it safe, just do enough to win, but not really knowing how much is enough to win, or not knowing when you're behind and when it's time to step it up. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Ribas. I don't see there's gonna be a change up in Rose's coaching or in a training. I think there's some sort of stagnation issue maybe, and I think Ribas is going to take it. I think it's going to be a long, boring decision where Rose has opportunities and doesn't take them, and lets the fight pass her by. And I think Ribas takes it. Yeah. Thanks for watching all the way until the end. Peace and love. I'll see you around.